Good afternoon, everybody. This is Jeff Baker with Shoes Optional. We're getting ready to kick off our Simplify Your Social Media webinar. And we do have a few people joining us today, so we're going to let everybody log in here in the next couple of minutes. As we get started, we'll circle back on some great and exciting things that we're getting ready to do here at Shoes Optional and some ways that we can work together and come up with some fun stuff to do with your social media. The main goal this afternoon is just to kind of explore some tips and some tricks on simplifying social media, especially since it can get overwhelming. There can be a lot of things going on where different platforms, different tools, and quite honestly, there's just a lot of information and misinformation out there. So we're going to take a look at that going forward here. And again, we're waiting for a few people to join us, and we'll be right back very shortly. All right, looks like we've got a couple individuals who have joined us on this process. We're going to go ahead and kind of take a look at several things to do with simplifying your social media. Again, my name is Jeff Baker. I'm with Shoes Optional, and we've been doing a number of webinars over the last couple of months and throughout this year, and getting ready to kick off some exciting things for 2016 as well. But we want to give you a chance to take a look at what we're doing and be able to show different ways to, like we say, simplify social media. I want to take a look at a couple quick comments or questions that I just saw from some email, and wanted to double check, make sure everybody had a chance to sign in, or if there's any questions where people weren't able to make it. So, all right. Very good. Well, I appreciate everybody who's able to participate on this webinar. If you are having any issues viewing the webinar, let us know. There are some options for chat boxes. If you're not familiar with Google Plus Hangouts, you do have options for seeing different screen options. So if you bring your mouse over to the far left, you'll see a menu of options that pull out. And there is a chat box there. So if you have any questions or thoughts or anything throughout this webinar that you want to ask some questions on, let us know, and we can show you that information there. Also want to make available to you some of the things that as we talk through this webinar throughout this next 45 minutes or so, we'll have a couple things we'll refer to. And we did want to let people know that towards the end of this time, there will be a kind of an open question and answer where we can unmute everybody, and then from there you can either ask your questions live, or you can actually put them in the chat box and go from there as well. So just wanted to give everybody a quick chance to chime in. Let me know who you are and where you're from. If you can, if you go into the actual chat window, just type in real quickly where you're from or what types of things you are hoping to maybe get out of today. All right, I just put a little question in the group chat and said, just let me know where you are, where you're from today, or where you're watching this from, and we'll go from there. But again, I just wanted to thank you for being part of this process. And this will be kind of an ongoing webinar that we offer from time to time. We'll add to it and kind of move some things around, but this one's free. It's basically just us sharing some ideas, some tips, some quick information. We invite you to pass this along. Again, this will be recorded so people can view this at a later date, and this information will stay fairly relevant, but we may, like I said, add to it or kind of move some things around. So let's get started. In today's world, social media is just all over the place, and it's quite honestly probably one of the biggest wastes of time for most companies and by most employees within the company. In other words, if you look at some of the statistics out there, they talk about the average employee wastes up to about an hour a day, sometimes more, on Facebook, for example, while they're on company time, sitting at their desk. And it's either at their desk or it might be on their mobile phone or their smartphone. They're actively engaged in social media, but it's not, as a business owner, it's not returning anything on your investment of time or effort, right? So again, one of the things we want to talk about is not only simplifying social media, but really kind of coming to an understanding of what is social media going to provide you as a business or as a consumer. What's the value of social media? Where can social media take you from here, right? So here's what we're going to do. We're going to kind of go through some process here. I want to kind of let you know where we're going today, and then we'll dive right in and kind of go through these things. So again, when we sent out the email, we sent out some connection to a number of you. We just wanted to share some of our thoughts and insights. So we're going to talk about things like 5 strategies to increase sales and influence. We'll definitely take a look at 6 surefire ways to kind of grow your audience and convert that audience to loyal customers. And there's some things that are not only social media based, but they're actually just kind of basic fundamental business principles that I think will be important for us to take a look at. And towards the end, we're going to get into some tools that I use to kind of automate some things. And so we have some time-saving tools and tips that will help automate your social media, but also keep things consistent. We'll talk about the importance of consistency as we jump through some more of this information. And at the very end, like I said, we're going to open this up to questions. Again, if you're new to this Google Hangouts environment, if you bring your mouse over the top of the presentation that you're looking, in many ways you should see an option for a chat window or possibly even a Q&A. If you have any of those options, feel free to activate the chat window and put your information or your questions in that area, and we'll take those as we go. So let's jump right into the 5 strategies. So the first one, and I'm going to keep this kind of, we're going to actually come back to this even as an element within the 6 surefire ways as well. But one of the things that I have found most impactful in my business about a year ago, a little over a year ago, was I read this book called Start With Why. It's by the person you see on the screen there. That's the author. His name is Simon Sinek. This actually has a link to the video if you want. I can send that to you as well. But he has a TED Talk where he talks about the importance and the significance of starting with why. In not only in my own business, but when I work with folks on creating websites or doing digital marketing strategy or strategic content marketing, planning, some of those things that we do, we start there. We start at the why. And here is why we do that. If you know why you do what you do, it makes a huge impact on your target audience. So the start with why concept is basically the idea of knowing why you are doing what you do in your business, right? So if you take a look at things like most companies out there, even your competitors, for example, are going to know what they do and they know how they do it. And what that means is they know that they are an accounting firm, for example. They know that they do taxes and financial planning and they do all these things for companies. That's what they do. And how they do it is they use tools like QuickBooks and they use spreadsheets and charts and calculators, and they do it that way. That's the how of what they do. But a lot of times they may not communicate clearly why they do what they do. And so in some cases it might be an accounting firm, for example, may have a simple why that is, we work with small businesses to help them grow their business to a point where they are fully self-sustained and they are a contributing factor to the local economy, something like that. So maybe when you start thinking about the concept of why, this is where your missions and your value statements come out of your process of defining the why, and it's what differentiates you from your competition. So in traditional marketing speak, you'll hear people talk about a unique selling proposition, right? So a unique selling proposition is what makes you different from somebody in your same market, in your same area, doing the same type of product or service that you offer. Well, in this case, starting with why can be that huge differentiator that allows you to connect with somebody on what's considered a non-cognitive process. In other words, Simon Sinek in his TED Talk uses the example of Apple. A lot of people buy Apple products, not so much because they're better products, which many of them are, and some people almost treat Apple like it's almost like a cult following in some ways, but they connect with Apple on this concept of going against the status quo and literally going into any type of challenge or industry and completely revolutionizing it. So look at what Apple was able to do over the last decade with music, for example. Not everybody buys music now by going and buying an album. They download music one song at a time. Apple's the one who started that process. There's a lot of people that have capitalized on that, but Apple was the original way to completely revolutionize an entire industry like the music industry. They've done the same thing with the phone. The iPhone is one of the huge differentiators that changed an entire industry into the smartphone concept. And again, you have a lot of other competition and a lot of other people in that space, but Apple was successfully one to able to do that. So their why, in a sense, is they believe in challenging the status quo in everything they do, and therefore they connect with people on a totally different level, right? So when we talk about 5 strategies to increase sales and influence, we want to start with why. We want you to kind of define in your own business, your own company, your own brand, why is it that you do what you do, and how is that going to set you apart from your competition, all right? If you have any questions on that, we can talk more about it, but at the end of this, I'll go ahead and shoot you guys an email summary, and in that I'll include a link to his TED Talk. Again, very, very good concept, and the book is definitely worth the read if you have some time. It's a fairly short read and fairly easy, but it does kind of get you excited about why you do what you do and telling that story. That's what we try to do here at Shoes Optional, and I'll share my why with you a little bit later in this presentation, but we start there with everything we do in our own business, but also with our clients, okay? Just out of curiosity, we have a number of viewers that I can see. If you're able to in the chat box, or if there's ever, if you're able to see something, if you can chat and just add something there, say hi, or just let me know you can hear everything, or if you're having any technical difficulties, let me know that as well, but we'll go ahead and keep on going. Just want to check in with you as we go here. So the next thing we want to look at, some of these other, what we call strategies that lead to an increase in sales and influence. So we talked about why. To me, that's a foundation. If you know why, it's going to be a lot easier to do some of these other strategies. So one of the things that a lot of what we call content marketing strategies, and what that's defined as is a way to generate information, generate content that's going to be of value to your consumer, whether it's a product or service you offer. Offering valuable content, or we call it here complementary content, that benefits the consumer, that's going to be a key component to doing things that are going to allow you to offer great value, but also increase your sales and influence. So when we talk about offering complementary content, one of the things you may have experienced in our process of kicking off this webinar and putting together some additional things coming up is we offer a free downloadable ebook, about, I don't know, it was roughly about 15 pages of information, some statistics, some quotes, some interesting graphics and imagery, and some kind of a concept that we developed here at Choose Optional. Great way to just give you some information and not ask anything in return for it, right? So the goal is just to say, hey, we're here to give you value. And if it's meaningful to you, as we do other webinars, as we do other things down the road, that may be of additional value to you. So one of the strategies, find something complimentary, find some information that you can give away, and allow that to bring people in as what we call an opt-in process, where you get permission to say, hey, I want to reach back out to you down the road and offer you more information and maybe more benefit, right? So that's kind of how we see it. So that's strategy number 2. Number 3 is actually kind of fun. All of us love incentives and coupons and discounts, right? I mean, Groupon, for example, or Living Social has made an entire industry out of offering discounts and coupons. And so they'll go into say for example, a hair salon, and they'll partner with them to say, hey, we're gonna offer your service at half off, but we're gonna put it out in front of, 10,000 users, and you'll probably have a conversion rate of about 1 to 2%. So you'll have maybe 1 to 200 people take advantage of this that may never have been a customer of yours. Now, once they come through the door, it's your responsibility as a business owner to convert that person into a customer. And we'll talk about that in our 6 surefire ways to kind of grow and increase that customer loyalty. But offering incentives in the form of coupons and discounts. So in your business, whether you offer a product or a service, are there things that you can bundle together and say, hey, you know what, if you opt in and you buy this webinar, or you buy this ebook, or you buy this product, or you sign up for this service, is there something you can do to give them a discount or a combined offer or a coupon that allows them to say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do a 50% off, or I'm gonna do 20% off, and offer that as a way to increase sales. We've seen some interesting response, not only from this webinar that you're on today, but we've seen this in some other ways that we've worked with local businesses to offer these types of coupons and discounts. Great way to get people in the door, but once you get people in the door, there's more to it than that. And so we'll talk about that in the next section, but another way or another strategy to increase your sales and influence is basically a consistent message across all of your social media platforms that you participate in. We're going to talk a little bit about social media platforms and which ones you may want to look at or not in our upcoming webinar series that we're going to be doing. We're getting ready to kick off an entire 6-part series. And in doing that, we're going to do some deep dive into a lot of the social media platforms. Obviously, the main ones like Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter are kind of the king of the hill, but we'll also do some dive into Pinterest and Instagram and a few other ones that are not quite as good for your business, but they're important to look at. So we'll kind of take a look at that in the 6-part series that's coming up later this month. But I wanted to kind of give you an idea to look at being a consistent message across all your platforms. You want that again, this comes out of that why concept. If you've defined clearly why you do what you do, this message is going to be consistent across all of those touch points. So you might have a Twitter message that sends them either to a Facebook page or sends them back to your website, or you do a Facebook post and do a Facebook paid ad that leads them back to your website or to another product page. All of these things are going to be consistent messages. And here's what's cool about what we're going to show you towards the end. We have found some amazing tools that are, first of all, almost free. There's a couple of them that do have some cost to them, but we'll show you what those are. Don't have to use those initially, but we've come across some really good low cost or no cost tools that make your messaging stand out. And it's going to be a lot of fun to kind of look at that when we get to that part of this webinar this afternoon. Last thing is what I call upsell and cross-sell your product and your service, or your service. So when somebody comes into your storefront, or they come to your website, they come to an event maybe that you've organized, you're going to want to find some additional products that are either complementary, and that's what a cross-sell is if I'm buying a hat, maybe I want to buy a pair of sunglasses with that hat. That's what we call a cross-sell process. An upsell is, hey, instead of buying a ball hat, I'm going to buy a full sun hat with a big rim and all that kind of stuff, right? It's really much more, I'm going to have a better version of a product that they might be able to take advantage of. Upsells, think of them also in the sense of a bundle of things that might be sold all by themselves. If you put them together, you get more revenue, more sales, you increase that, but then you also offer better value for your consumer or your customer. So upsell or cross-sell, great way to increase your sales and also extend that influence that you have in your business or your product or your brand. We're going to jump into the next part of this webinar. Again, this is typically about a 45-minute process, so we're kind of about a third of the way through. We're going to kind of take a look at the next 6, what we call the 6 surefire ways to grow or increase and convert your audience to loyal customers. So we're going to take a look at that. We've got 6 options. Again, I want to start at the exact same place we started with the 5 strategic ways to increase sales and influence. Again, starting with why. And here's why this is important to me and why I keep bringing this up. The more defined your why is in your business, it is going to attract people to you because they are going to feel the same thing. Think of it in this way. There are sometimes when you meet somebody, it might be a business person, it might be a networking event, it might even just be you meet somebody at a grocery store, and you have this uncanny sensation, and you're like, man, this looks like somebody I want to work with, network with, I want to get to know, I want to be friends with them, I either want to maybe go into business or whatever, and you have that what we call that 6th sense that this is a good connection, right? That's kind of what this why does. If you have that well-defined and your business is kind of honed in on that concept, then people are going to connect with you in a way that goes way beyond the actual sale of a product or a service. It's going to be this part where it's like, wherever that company goes, I want to be there because they are the right fit for me. So think of some brands that actually do this very well. Many of you know or are familiar with the Nordstrom brand. Part of what makes Nordstrom so unique is that they offer a buying experience. It's not the cheapest by any stretch of the imagination. It's not the Walmart of the world, but it is a very unique buying experience because you go in, you're willing to pay more for the product, but you get a better value and you get a better experience overall. And that company as a whole has some very interesting ways of approaching things. Matter of fact, most of you right now are probably familiar of the big whole thing with Starbucks and the red cup. And one of the things that Nordstrom did is said, hey, we believe in celebrating one season at a time. We're not going to put up any Christmas decorations until after Thanksgiving. By the way, they're going to be closed Thanksgiving Day when many stores are now opening Thanksgiving afternoon. But long story short is Nordstrom saying that, hey, you know what? Happy Thanksgiving. When was the last time you heard a store or a company or an organization say, look, we're going to celebrate Thanksgiving. We'll see you. We'll deal with Christmas later. We're going to stay in the moment, right? So Nordstrom is one of those kind of unique brands that does that type of concept. So it's a valuable way for people to kind of connect with you again on a different level. All right, next thing we want to take a look at are these other bullet points. So other surefire ways to grow your audience and to convert to loyal customers is know your audience and also know what social platforms they use. So part of defining who you are, and defining your why in your business is part of that process is going to be defining who your customer is and what you want to do with that customer and how you want to reach that customer. And that involves finding them out on social media, finds out, are they a Facebook type of client? By the way, Facebook is not for everybody. I want to state that right up front. Most people think they have to have a Facebook page. Now, there is 1.5 billion people on Facebook actively, so it is a huge target audience, but it may or may not make sense for your business. Again, once you define that why and you kind of come from that perspective, it makes it easier to define your audience and know where they're at and what social media platforms they use to be able to go after them. Another surefire way to either grow your audience and then convert them to loyal customers is what I call the passion after purchase, excuse me. So when somebody buys something from your business, what happens afterwards? What's the follow-up? What's the follow-through? So think about it this way. If I bought something from your business and I was a one-time customer, never heard from you on anything else, how likely am I going to come back and purchase something from you? Now, if it's a unique item and you're the only one that sells it, I may have to come back to you because you're the only one that has that product or service. But in this world, there's very few places that have that kind of exclusivity. But if I buy something from you and then I get a postcard a couple weeks later, or get an email follow-up, or I get even a live phone call from somebody that says, hey, not calling for any other reason, just to say, hey, thanks for being a customer. Let me know if your product or the thing that you purchased, if you have any issues with it, feel free to call me. I'll be glad to help you out any way I can. In this day and age, that goes a long way because it shows that you actually care about that relationship. So we're going to talk about ways coming up, some of the tools that allow you to easily maintain those relationships. Because if you say, for example, if you have 1,000 customers, that's hard to maintain any type of consistent relationship without the help of some automation. So we'll talk about automated tools coming up. Number 4, this is kind of one of my favorite ones, and my business has doubled in the last year, literally a 100% increase, if you want to call it that, using this exact concept. So what I've done is I've created a referral network by offering either incentives or referral fees. So if somebody has maybe they purchased a website, or they did a marketing service with us, or they've done some things that way. One of the things that we offer at Choose Optional, and this is across the board on everything that we offer, if you refer a client to us, they purchase something, we actually have a 10% referral fee. So say somebody buys a $1,400 website, that's $140 of cash or credit. We can credit it towards future service, but that's an option for you. And it stands as an ongoing kind of cornerstone of my business. And this has been real successful. I have here in the Greenville area, I have a good friend of mine, but he's also just really active on social media. His biggest platform is he's on Facebook all the time. And I've received a number of brand new clients that I would have never seen from his network, because he'll monitor and he'll see somebody that says, hey, I've got a problem with my website. I can't get a hold of my old developer. Can anybody help? And next thing I know, I get a ping from my friend saying, hey, this guy's looking for somebody to help them with their website. Or, hey, this person's looking for some marketing help. Or this person's looking for other services that we offer. Great way to grow your business and convert people to loyal customers. Many of these people that were referred to me are now solid customers that I can reach back out to and help them grow their social media presence. We can do content marketing for them. We can do other types of services on their behalf. So create a referral network by offering incentives and referral fees. Great way to grow your business. Here's the thing I like about it. I don't have to pay anybody until something happens and somebody becomes a client. So they could refer a lot of people to me, and if nobody converts and nobody becomes a client, I still don't owe any money. But if somebody does, I'm glad to pay 10% off the top right back to that person who referred them to me. All right, number 5. This is goes a little bit hand in hand with kind of the know your audience, but it's understand each of the social media platforms and what's unique about them and what is often unused within those platforms. Here's what I mean. I mentioned that we're getting ready to kick off next week a 6-part series. It's a deep dive into social media, and we're looking at a lot more than just, you know, kind of high level information. We're going deep. We'll actually spend like an entire 1-hour session completely on Facebook, for example, or we'll spend one on Google Plus. And my opinion is actually Google Plus has a lot more importance in your business than Facebook does. And then LinkedIn would be a very close third to Facebook, and LinkedIn would be kind of very close together. But we'll talk about that in more depth. And this is what we get into, is we actually start to look at what these platforms do and how these platforms change from where they started to where they are today, and how you want to adjust your social media strategy based on some of these new features or new directions that some of these platforms have done. For example, many people think, well, Google Plus, you know, is it going to go away? You hear that about every other week on different technology channels. Google Plus is here to stay, in my opinion, and it's got a huge footprint, not only from a social media standpoint, but also a huge impact in your search engine rankings and some of the things that relate to that. So again, when we get into that in our 6-part series coming up, we're going to take a look at what those features are, why they're in place, how you can leverage those, and without much effort, how you can automate some of those things within those platforms, right? Last thing for this surefire way to grow your audience and convert to loyal customers is what we call consistency. And I got to admit, I've got to be transparent with you. Consistency is one of the most difficult things to do in social media, because all of us have day jobs. You know, what I mean by that is we all have life that happens around us, and to say, hey, I'm going to blog every day, or I'm going to be on Twitter 2 or 3 times a day. I'm going to be on Facebook, you know, several times a day and post, or I'm going to go to Google Plus and add some content. That's a lot of work, right? Most of us have a lot more things going on than to be able to sit in front of a computer all day and just knock out content. So I want to reiterate that consistency is important, but what can help with consistency are some social media tools and some things that make it very easy to be consistent and at least have a more consistent presence in any of those platforms that make sense for your business. So we're going to jump into what these automated tools are, but just understand consistency is important. And I have a great example for, there's a gentleman who's across the hall from me in our office building here. He has a brand new blog post every single day, sometimes 2 different posts from 2 different platforms he blogs in. And if you look at it, he's got a following, you know, on Twitter of about 35,000 people. He's got a whole bunch of other information that he does. He's putting together some ebooks. He's got a really good story to tell. He's actually writing an entire book. But part of it is his consistency for the last 5 years is he has done almost a daily blog post with almost no exception. There's been a few exceptions, but his presence is there and consistent every day. Now, I can also tell you, by sitting across the hallway from this gentleman, he's not in his office every morning writing a brand new blog post every day. What he does is he batch processes those together. He'll kind of fill up his pipeline and have those automatically scheduled to go out on certain times of the day or certain times of the week, so that it is consistent, but it is always there, and people have learned to kind of count on that. Matter of fact, if a blog doesn't come out on a certain time or a certain period, he'll get emails like, hey, what happened? Are you okay? Did you get hit by a bus? All those kind of things. So he's created a loyal following and a loyal audience because of that consistency. All right, last thing that we're going to take a look at, and then we mentioned that we actually do have some giveaways and gifts for everybody, but I wanted to kind of look at the last part of this, which is some of the what we call time-saving tools, or three time-saving tools and tips that can help you automate your social media and automate some of that customer loyalty. So one of the tools I use is called Nimble CRM. Now, CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management, and most of us are familiar with that on some level. Long time ago, in a land far away, there was a a contact management program called ACT. It's been acquired and rebranded by a bunch of different things. Nowadays, it's you have things like Salesforce. You have really large organizations that do these customer relationship management suites. And a lot of them do it very well, but they're also very, very expensive. And so some of them you're looking at several $100s a month, and you have all these tools and things. And quite honestly, for the average small business owner, blogger, whatever your background is, those are overkill. What I love about Nimble CRM, it is the most social media friendly customer relationship management system. So I'm going to flip over and I'll show you kind of an idea of how it works, and kind of give you a quick, 30,000 foot overview of it. But it is actually kind of a neat system that works very well with a couple things. It actually works very well within the not only social media world, but it works very well within, if you have Google Apps, for example, it integrates very well with your Gmail and all those types of things. So it's loading in here, and give it a second, I'll kind of show you some of the things it does. So the initial dashboard is what they call the Today view. The Today view just kind of gives you some very high-level overviews. It shows you some engagement opportunities, meaning if somebody followed you on Facebook or Twitter, or if they joined something that you were discussing, you can do to-do lists. You can also look at upcoming deals that are in the works. Just kind of a quick dashboard and connect with some things. What I like about it from a social media standpoint is there's a number of browser plugins where I can look for people within either Gmail, or if I'm on Facebook or whatever, I can actually use my little Nimble plugin, and it actually allows me to quickly add people to my system. You can see a number of things here where it looks automatically at social platforms and quickly imports all of that information. And the reason why we use something like Nimble, or choose your own CRM if you prefer, but it gives you a quick way to have those relationships with a number of your current customers and future customers. Gives you a very easy way under like contacts here, for example. You can quickly flag people under different types of tags, so that you can say, hey, I want to be able to navigate or be able to remember somebody's birthday, or if something's happening where I'm following somebody on a certain social network, I can quickly find that information within there. And again, there's a lot of other features, but just kind of as an overview, Nimble is one of those platforms that we use a lot, and it's made my life very easy, especially when it comes to social media and maintaining those relationships with those clients. Number two is either Buffer or Hootsuite, and there's a number of other ones that are automated. Most people, I think, are familiar with Hootsuite because it's been around for a long time, but it's a very easy way that even the free version, they have a pay version as well, but the free version allows you to set up a number of social media accounts where you can literally take a post, put it into Hootsuite. As you hit the submit button, it gives you an option to post it to Twitter, to Facebook, to most of the social media platforms that are out there, and kind of a one button post type of a thing works really good. The paid or the premium version of Hootsuite also gets into the ability to schedule and automate content. So if you're doing blogging and you're doing Twitter or Facebook and you're trying to keep all that stuff consistent, like we mentioned, like put it out there for people to see on a regular basis, Hootsuite's a great way to schedule that. Same thing with Buffer. Buffer is a great platform. Any of these, what they do is they automatically connect to any of the social media platforms you're engaged in, and it allows you to quickly upload or quickly post one item to all of those platforms automatically, or to, again, schedule information and have it be consistent and have that presence. The last tool or tip that I've found, and they're kind of combined here, is a tool called Canva. So some of you have heard me talk about this in other webinars and other experiences, but Canva, and it's canva.com, you no longer need a full photo suite on your computer anymore. Like a lot of people have Photoshop, especially if you're in the design world. You'll probably want to keep Photoshop, but Canva allows you to quickly make unbelievable, high quality graphics for your website, for blog posts, for any social media platform. The premium version, there's a what they call Canva for Business. You upload your logo, and it automatically will create for you a number of templates for things like slideshows and business cards and brochures. It will automatically do a lot of that stuff. So I'm logging into my Canva account right now to just give you an idea. You'll see popping on the screen is a number of designs, and you'll see they're constantly adding new designs, including things like templates for ebooks and magazines, and you'll see a number of coupons and things that we've created. You can actually, if I click on the brand area, it basically shows all of my brand elements, and it gives me templates that I can easily, quickly make a decent graphic, something that has a little bit of eye appeal, and it allows me to get that message quickly in front of my my customers, right? So Canva, great tool. The next one that was mentioned on there is called allthefreestock.com. What allthefreestock.com is it's a central website that links you out to all the what are called free stock websites. So it could be stock photography, could be stock video, could be stock sound effects, colors, fonts, all these things that you can do. And it's a great resource to get high quality videos, images, all that stuff that you don't have to pay for. You don't even have to give credit for it, quite honestly. So a lot of times you can find some really good images without having to join and pay for like stockphotos.com or iStock is another one that a lot of people use. A lot of money goes into that, especially if you're trying to run a small business. When you're trying to save, kind of watch your pennies and that kind of stuff, this is a great resource to allow that to happen, okay? So again, just an overview of some of the tools that we use. And again, those are kind of the three what we call time-saving tools or tips. Nimble, great CRM. Buffer and Hootsuite, great for automating your email, your consistent message going out. And then Canva and all the free stock, great way to create some eye appeal and great graphics. All right, we're gonna wrap up here. I appreciate your time. Again, we typically take about 40 to 45 minutes in this presentation. We're right at about 42 minutes, but I wanted to open it up for any questions that you may have. So I'm gonna make it available if anybody wants to try to chat, or you're welcome to either add something to the chat box, or if you have a way to dialogue on your computer, feel free to ask a question that way. Usually there's also, if you're looking at this more on a video screen, like kind of almost like an active YouTube video, there are some buttons that have like a Q&A screen as well. And if you have any questions, we can go from there. So I do see a couple questions from some folks, and we do have some Q&A there. So if anybody has any questions, add them to the Q&A section or put them in the chat section. Either way, and we'll be glad to address those. But I definitely appreciate your time for today. Appreciate you joining us on this thing. As mentioned in the email, we do actually want to offer this to everybody who participated. So what I want you to do is this is probably the best way to do it, just to make sure it comes to me and I address it personally, is if you can shoot me an email at, it's Jeff@ShoesOptional, and I'll actually put that on the screen here. It's basically email me Jeff@ShoesOptional.com, and let me know that you participated in this webinar. What we are doing is we're giving away basically coupons, not coupons, but they're actually gift cards that are $50 off anything that's coming up. So we actually have some webinars, we have some email marketing, we have a bunch of those things. We're going to go ahead and give you guys just right out of the gate just a $50 free gift card. It will come in the email, and you can use it any way you want. Usually they actually have a coupon code or gift card code with it. So if you're signing up for a webinar or anything coming up, we would be happy to apply that to that. And if you want to forward any of that onto some friends or a family that might be interested in doing that work, we're kind of gearing up for some fun stuff towards the end of the year where we're getting ready to even do some live websites where we can have people watch some of the things we do here at Shoes Optional and kind of show you ways that we can take somebody from start to finish and say, hey, if you've ever wanted to see the entire process of a website, we're gonna try to do that throughout this year as well. So if there's no other questions, I just want to thank you again for your time. Don't forget to email me at Jeff@ShoesOptional, and we will go ahead and see what we can do to make sure we get that information back over to you. But I appreciate your time today, and thank you guys for your time. And we'll, like I said, we have that 6-part series coming up, so feel free to take a look at that as well. We'll send you the link to that video I mentioned earlier from Simon Sinek on the Start With Why, and we will go ahead and wrap up for today. But again, thank everybody for your time, and we look forward to the success of your business as well as we grow. We got some exciting things that we'll be doing. Thank you very much, and have an awesome day.